you and I had talked about this a little bit, but like, what's the difference between a Christian financial advisor and a biblical financial advisor?
That's another big moment in my life too here. So you're pressing all these points here. So thanks for that.
That's my job.
Yeah. Well, I remember I was at a conference and it was a collection of like-minded advisors, financial advisors that wanted to do it in the right way, right? And the National Association of Christian Financial Consultants is what it's called. And I remember that question was posed to me is, what makes you different? What makes you different from, let's say there's, an atheist advisor down the street that loves his clients. He has integrity. He's taking care of them. What specifically makes you different from that person? And it caused me to do a lot of soul searching, right? Obviously, the biblical investments was one thing, but there's still more to that, right? So there's this continuous growth. And for me, the difference between a Christian advisor, so a Christian advisor to me is anybody they're a born-again believer and they're a financial advisor. But that's about it, right? Yep. It ends there. They may be a great person. They may be super spiritual at church, but there hasn't been that crossover into the business. So to me, a biblical advisor is one that is devoted their life to studying the scriptures and how it relates to their practice, right? Yeah. And this is obviously not just for this career, for any career path. Yeah. But to me, that's where it really came down to. And what I've learned over the years, so much of it comes back to just having the right worldview, putting God on the throne of your entire life. So how does that relate into the financial planning practice, for example? Well, I believe that fellow believers, disciples of Christ, will see retirement differently than what the rest of the world does.
Explain that a little bit more.
Well, I don't know about you, but I mean, especially pre-conversion, right? My focus was not only to have all the nice stuff, but then I'm going to hit a point where I retire from my job and I do nothing, right? I'm going to chase a white ball around a grassy field, or I'm going to kick back on a beach. Yeah. But nowhere do you see that as a biblical concept, right? Retirement, in fact, retirement, the only time you see it in scripture, the Levites at age 55 is mentioned that they were to retire. Now, sort of, at the time, they're moving the tabernacle through the wilderness, right? The Levites were construction workers. Right. So at age 55, they probably couldn't do all that stuff, but they were still to be involved in the temple. Yeah. And so, where does this idea of retirement come from? It's a relatively new concept. In fact, what I would say is the westernized version of it kind of flies square in the face of what God planted us on this earth to do. Why did God place Adam and Eve into the garden? Were they just supposed to kick back and relax and enjoy? Well, no, they actually had work to do. They were to take care of it. So I think retirement... by the way, I am not saying you can't retire. Retirement is an awesome thing, but maybe we need to redefine it. Sure. Right? Some of my clients, I'm a better person because of my clients. I've got clients that are so further along in their spiritual path than I am, that I learn from them. For example, I've got a client that they retired early, worked hard, they built up, they retired early from a secular job, and now they are full-time going around with a ministry to help build churches, right? Yeah. That to me is an awesome retirement. Yeah. Another, a mentor of mine, Larry Fincher, he was an Entergy with lineman, he was an Entergy engineer for years, and he saved up and did well, and his whole career, he was still working and involved in the church and building a ministry, a teaching ministry for young families. But then when he was able to retire, he was able to pour more of his life into that, which has grown into a retreat that I get the privilege now to speak at 3 times a year. So that, to me, those are the guys that inspire me. And that's, I think, the worldview change. You look at retirement differently than what a non-believer might.
Yep, that makes sense.